Good afternoon. My name is Alan McCoy. I'm Director of Startup Support at the University of Maryland, and I am very happy to welcome all of you to today's Startup Fundamentals Workshop Series. Today we will focus on translational funding opportunities for University of Maryland researchers through an organization called TEDCO. TEDCO is a state of Maryland organization that's focused on fostering innovation and commercialization through technology validation, market assessment, and creation of startup companies. And specifically, Maryland Innovation Initiative is a program focused on funding technology startups coming out of 5 universities in the state of Maryland. We have one of the 5. The other are University of Maryland, Baltimore, Morgan State, University of Maryland, Baltimore College, and Johns Hopkins University. So only these 5 universities can participate. Should be noted that you can also partner with researchers from those universities, and the amount of the award will be slightly higher for joint applications, but we will go into that detail as we talk about it. So Maryland Innovation Initiative is a funding program that has 2 phases. Phase 1 is technology assessment. It's called technology assessment. You will also probably hear us say phase 1 because it's easier to say, and TEDCO very recently renamed these phases. So technology assessment is the correct way, but if you hear us say phase 1, that's what we are referring to. So phase 1 or technology assessment is for a university project. It's a grant. It comes to you at your university lab. It's basically free money, even though we can't call it quite that, but it's a grant that doesn't have to be repaid, and ORA does not take overhead, so the entire amount goes to your lab and you can use it for the project. Next phase is called company formation, and the applicant there is a company, and money goes directly to the company. It's not free money like the first one. It's not a grant. It's a convertible note. It is now called reimbursable grant, and site miners will talk about what that means. So phase technology assessment phase goes to the university. Company formation goes to company. And to be able to apply to receive that money, you will be working with our team of dedicated professionals called site miners. So we have 3 site miners who are entrepreneurs, executives, business professionals, and they will be helping you to put together the business side of the proposal. Even though this is the phase 1 or technology validation is an academic research proposal, it has a very heavy commercialization component to it, which is new to most academic researchers, and this is where our site miners come in. As you can see, we have a division of labor here. Anastasia Maka, unfortunately, was not able to join us today. Dr. Maka is a life sciences entrepreneur and researcher. She co-founded 4 companies, and she has been commercializing biotechnology for quite a while and has a lot of experience in it. So she works with any biotech, any life sciences teams and applications. And now I'm going to let Lawrence Cheng and then Nadash, 2 site miners, to introduce themselves and outline their background a little bit, and then we'll go into the presentation itself. So Lawrence, would you like to begin?
Great, thank you, Alma. Hi, I'm Lawrence Cheng. I am excited to be a site miner here at the University of Maryland. And my background is that I have a degree in electrical engineering, specifically digital signal processing. But at some point in my past, I switched over to the product management, product marketing side. I've worked at big companies and small companies, startups, the gamut. I've been in fields as diverse as 3D graphics, video gaming, satellite radio, utility energy management, and other things. I have two other side skills. One is that I did a lot of technical writing with a patent attorney, and I wrote a lot of patents for him. And I'm also an angel investor, active with my university's alumni angel investing club. That's it for me. Dan, over to you.
Hello, I'm Dan Nadash. I've been involved as a site miner with MII and UM Venture since 2017, which makes me, I guess, the senior site miner around here. And by way of background, I'm a university alumnus. I got a government politics degree here at the University of Maryland, and worked on Capitol Hill for an extended period of time, both for 5 members of Congress and subsequently as a lobbyist for the real estate industry. Subsequent to that, I was an operator in SaaS software for several startup companies, and subsequent to that worked in private equity and investments. So I have a generalist background, and in my role at the university as a site miner have seen all types of information and physical science applications, which I've helped assist to the MII program. Next slide, Ella. So as you will learn, we either fall into an opportunity that is in the technology assessment phase or in the company formations phase. Lawrence is going to speak about the company formation phase. I'm going to speak about the technology assessment phase. So the main message I want to get across here is, if you think you have a disclosure or a invention that has a commercial opportunity and a commercial value proposition, please come to UM Ventures, please come to us and let us help triage and explore how this might be a opportunity for the Maryland Innovation Initiative. And we will help guide you through the requirements and the qualifications and what makes a competitive application. But the main components are proof of concept prototype, some type of preliminary data that backs up your assertions on why this is a great disclosure, why this is a great innovation, a stated interest of the utility of the innovation, the value proposition of the innovation. Does it make things faster, more efficient, cheaper? Does it cost down? Is it a game-changing innovation that is disruptive? We'll all work together on that. And some type of commercialization partners, some type of stakeholder endorsement of your innovation. Also, we would guide you to, or maybe you will do during the process of an application, or you've already done some initial market research that lends gravitas to your application. So those are the kind of key components. Next slide, Ella. To speak to the technology assessment phase award, it's kind of wrapped into a 9-month time frame. The grant is $115,000. It's non-dilutive. No overhead is going to your Office of Research Administration. It's all being put to use on behalf of the innovation. The money goes to a University of Maryland lab. The qualifications are any full-time researcher here at the university. And the innovation must have a disclosure to the University of Maryland Office of Technology, and we must have some type of formulated IP strategy around that disclosure. The budget in the broadest sense for MII Technology Assessment Phase 1 award is $115,000. 15 of that $1,000 is going to a commercialization plan. The whole point of this award is to take an innovation that has commercial prospects and bring it along the commercialization pathway and further it along that pathway. So we start out with a concept, an idea, some preliminary data, and we set some key milestones and either work towards a minimum value product, a beta prototype, and further the value in the commercialization attributes of the concept. $10,000 of this is going to go to IP prosecution with the university. 90,000 of this is all available for salaries, equipment, materials, consultants, etc., as is part of the commercialization plan available for consultants. The basic components of a competitive MII application are outlining a technology innovation that is addressing a commercial problem. The application is a pretty simple 5-page application that we guide you through formulating in the most competitive and effective way to the reviewers at TEDCO. The reviewers at TEDCO are generalists, as am I, so I'm a very good gateway and read on what is a competitive application. We have to demonstrate a value proposition for the innovation and some type of return on investment. We have to show where the TRL status is of the innovation. Is the technology readiness level somewhere where we are working towards an MVP, minimum value product, or are we even further along where we've demonstrated the product in a real market? Do we understand what the product might be priced at, or what the licensing value of the innovation is? During the project phase, we're going to outline a minimum of 3 quantifiable, measurable milestones that advance the commercialization of the application. We're going to detail its IP status and strategy. We're going to show this project on a Gantt chart within the application, and we're going to go out and secure some letters of support from industry and/or stakeholders that speak to the value proposition of the innovation. On the commercialization planning portion of the application, and with that $15,000 that's afforded in the budget, we're going to look at how we would go out and either license and/or manufacture and/or work with existing incumbents in the marketplace to bring this application to a commercial opportunity. What would be the low-hanging fruit initial opportunity for the innovation? What might be further research and development and commercial development of the application to phase 2 and phase 3 of the commercialization pathway? And additionally, one of the most important things we have to do is early on in securing recommendation letters and outlining a budget is we have to coordinate with our departmental ORA. So they know this application's going to TEDCO and your budget's been approved in advance. So just restating what are the critical elements for winning a MII application, which is something we will guide you on and hammer home with you during the process, and whatever iterations of the application that take place are some support letters from potential customers and or stakeholders who are have relationships to the innovation, what your market target is, what's the size of that market, what's the market opportunity for your innovation. Do you have a intellectual property strategy? And sorry about that, my lights just went out. I think it's motion censored. So, who are your competitors? What's your differentiation? What's your clear value proposition on a competitive basis on whatever the status quo and disruptiveness of your solution is?
Okay, so Dan, I think
off to Lawrence to talk about the company formation stage.
Great, thank you, Dan. So just to reiterate and put things into perspective, the technology assessment phase is really there to move your technology out from the lab and into the commercial space. So think of it as a way to build an MVP of your product. Just really get it out from a lab experiment or in something that's a little bit more refined and that can start to be shopped around to various investors. The goal of the company formation phase is quite different, actually. It is really to launch your company, and at this point, you'll want to have your company formed or ready to be formed. During the company formation phase, there's really a lot more emphasis on the commercial aspects of the invention and the company itself. You'll want to have a lot more market research, a lot more user feedback, a lot more competitive analysis of who are the players in the market, what are the alternatives out there, how's your invention going to solve the problems. You'll need to provide information on what the business model of your company is. How are you going to make how are you going to make money? How are you going to make revenue? What are your possible expenses? What are your sales channels? What are your distribution channels? And very key to during the company formation phase is that you will want to be able to describe your team members. Who are your key employees? Who are the people who are going to help you take this company, launch a company, and take it into the next phase? Next slide, please. So the structure of the company formation phase is very similar to the technology assessment phase. It's a 9-month time frame. The money is a little bit bigger. It's up to $150,000. And as Ala mentioned before, it's in the form of a reimbursable grant, which is a convertible note. For people who are not familiar with this is essentially a loan that has an option to be converted into equity into the company. The technology has to be licensed from one of the companies in one of the universities in the MII program. And so we as SiteMiners have a little bit different role in this phase. During the technology assessment phase, the SiteMiners will help the PIs assemble the application package, help them write and edit the 5-page application itself, and then present it in front of the review panel. The same things happen during the company formation phase, except that the last thing, which is the presentation in front of the review panel, that is done by the company CEO, not the SiteMiners. Next slide, please. The atypical budget for the company formation phase is as follows, and this is really just an example. It doesn't have to apply to your particular invention. 75K, half of it for personal and fringe benefits, maybe 20% for equipment, materials and supplies, 30% or so for other stuff like sales, manufacturing, travel, marketing. The stuff that real companies have to work on. And again, there's money that's often allocated towards IP expenses as well. Obviously, this will change depending on the kind of invention, the kind of the area of innovation that your invention is dealing with. Biotech will have a very, very different budget profile than software, for example. Next slide, please. The MII applications, this is both for technology assessment and company formation, are accepted every other month. So it's the first of the month on the odd months, so January, March, et cetera, et cetera. The review period takes about 6 weeks. And if you do make it through the review, then the PIs will be notified of the decision in 3 weeks following the panel. So a typical time frame would be January 1, you submit. Second week of February, you'll get comments back from the review panel, and you'll have an opportunity to discuss these comments with your site miner. Then the site miner in the third week of February will go and basically defend your application in front of the review panel. And then early March or so, you'll get a go or no-go decision. If you don't make it the first time around, you can resubmit up to 2 times afterwards. Although you can, there are certain rules you can't immediately resubmit on the next cycle. Next slide, please. So where does MII fit into the whole context of bringing your invention to the outside world? Often when you form a company and you're trying to get it off the ground, trying to get your invention out to the world, you'll need a lot of funding. And there are various sources of funding. MII is one source of funding. Really, the process starts with understanding what your market is. You're all experts on understanding the technology behind your inventions, but understanding the market, the key value propositions, that is a significant piece of work that needs to be done before you launch any business venture. We recommend I-Corps. It's a very, very good program administered by the National Science Foundation. But there are other ways of gaining market research as well. The MII tech assessment phase, as I mentioned before, is really to get your invention out of the lab and into a minimum viable product. The company formation phase helps you launch the company and set it up for future funding, at which point you will then look for other sources of funding such as SBIR grants or angel or venture capital investments. We do want to stress that MII is a great deal because it allows you to do work through the university and really, really allows you to de-risk your startup and position it well for outside investment. Once you start getting into SBIR or angel or VC funding, those have to be done basically outside the university environment. Next slide, please. Oh, I guess Ali, it's your turn.
Thank you, Lawrence. Yeah, so thank you both Lawrence and Dan for giving an overview of what the opportunity is and how it works. And I just wanted to highlight here our program metrics. So you can see that we have been able to, you can see in the last 3 years, and these are fiscal years ending June 30th. So we were able to fund quite a few applications out of this immediate past fiscal year. Out of 11 applications that were submitted, 7 were approved. So that brings us to 64% success rate. And a lot of money was brought into the university labs and startups as well. So as you can see, this is a fairly high success rate, and even though in dollar amounts it's not as significant as some of the other funding opportunities you're looking at, but the success rate is much higher, and the basic thing to remember about an MII is that it allows for basically very low risk opportunity to try and get a startup going, and this is especially true for postdocs, PhD students who are working and really want to see their research translated into an actual product or service that people can use and benefit from. And this is an opportunity for phase 1, a technology validation phase. You can do that while still receiving University of Maryland salary and health benefits, and use University of Maryland lab equipment, so your company doesn't need to rent space and such. So this is actually quite a unique opportunity to get your company going that way, and very much reducing that very, very early risk where you don't have to quit your job right at the beginning. And actually, there's a question here in our Q&A that I wanted to address. It kind of dovetails very much into what I was mentioning. So the question is, what if your intention is to leave the university at some point and become the CEO? Is this disqualifying? And the answer is no. You can. You can use the phase 1. So to apply for technology validation phase, or phase 1, you have to be a full-time researcher at the university. So for that one, if you have left the university, then you won't qualify for that. I wouldn't recommend that, because why would you? When you can get money and still use your university lab and university equipment, and get that technology advanced a little bit further, get it more ready, devise a commercialization plan while still being at the university. It's only after you form the company that's when you'll have to make that decision. So if, say, for example, you're planning to apply for an SBIR, somebody has to run the company full time. So at that point, you can make that decision. And to qualify for company formation phase, you don't have to be a university researcher. It has to be, the company is the applicant, and the company has to be founded around technology that was developed at the university. But the researcher, whoever is applying, doesn't have to be at the University of Maryland. So I hope that answers your question. And with that, I wanted to highlight a few success stories. So these are the companies that were built by University of Maryland faculty, and they used as a basis for their companies, they used technology that they developed here at the university, and they used MII money to get their companies going. So Hazel Analytics is a great success because that's the only funding they used. They only used phase 1, technology validation money, and then company formation money. They did not need any VC money or any equity money or any other grants to build that company, because it is software based, so it takes less money to build those companies. But you can see, you can go on Yelp and you can see health scores for restaurants, and you can see that they're powered by Hazel Analytics. So Dr. Abhishek Motayed is an example where the researcher received phase 1 or technology validation, and then he quit the university and applied for the next phase, and then additional grant money. And so company formation money allows you, because it's received usually fairly quickly, and if your phase 1 is successful, TEDCO, it's pretty much, I don't want to say guaranteed, but it's fairly easy to receive that company formation money. And because it's faster and more certain, a lot of companies are using that as an opportunity to use that funding to tie them over until that SBIR comes through or until that VC investment comes through, which takes a lot more time and a lot more effort. So N5 Sensors is an example of that. Dr. Ken Kao founded a company called Blue Lean, and again, she used both phases, and that's the only funding she used for the company. And then the next two companies are founded by Dr. Srini Raghavan. He's a professor of chemical biomolecular engineering, and you can see that the companies are very, very different. He actually is a founder or co-founder of multiple startups, and he found a secret to do that, whereby he allows his PhD students or postdocs lead the company, and he acts as a scientific advisor and a co-founder, and so that's his secret to success. And you can see these are very different companies already selling products. This is a more recent success story. Many of you may know Dr. Ann Simon, and she launched a company called Silvic Biologics that is combating a disease that's killing all of our citrus trees. So hopefully the company is successful. This is a drone company. Again, they use both phases and additional funding to build their company. And I'm going to stop now to make sure that we have enough time for questions and comments. So we already answered one question. I don't see any questions in the Q&A or chat. However, at this point, you are able to raise your hand and I can unmute your mic and you can ask your question that way, or you can just type it. You can also submit it anonymously if you wish to do so. I don't see any questions, so any last words, Dan and Lawrence?
Yeah, I actually have one last word for me. Maybe Dan can chime in on this. I think what I want to stress is that if you have even an inkling that you might want to commercialize your invention, please approach us early. The earlier, the better. When I showed the timeline, what I forgot to say was that we need at least a minimum of 2 months to get the application package together. But really, it should be ideally it should be a lot longer than that. We've had PIs engage with us a year or even 2 years ahead of their actual MII submission, because you discover a lot of things while you're doing the market research. Your initial thought about the market applications of your technology may not be the ones that are actually good candidates for the MII application. So please engage with us early.
Yeah, in the same spirit. Am I on?
Yes.
In the same spirit as to what Lawrence was just stating, I have worked with PIs over a 2-year period, a 1-year period. I've done initial applications that have been where we've done pivots and resubmitted. So bring it on, no matter how early the idea is or how formulated the idea is, or if it's been IP that's sitting on the shelf that you've often thought about, having an entrepreneurial notion regarding. bring it over, let's talk about it, let's triage it, and let's see if it's a good fit for MII.
Yes, thank you. And also in that spirit, I wanted to mention that we also have entrepreneurs in residence, and you can approach them also and work with them in identifying. So as you are working on identifying your market, your customers, your potential business model, you can work with your entrepreneurs in residence, and they can also provide input on the MII application and such. And one of the best ways to do market research would be to participate in the University of Maryland Regional I-4 program. So it's next cohort is forming in January 2023, and it's a really great program to try to identify who your target market is and why, and what type of, would your solution be the right solution to fit in the current opportunity. So and you will receive training on how to talk to people to find information that would be very valuable. To mention that, another mention I wanted to say that people who complete who complete I-4, regional or national, have a much higher chance of receiving MII or SBIR funding, just because you gain a lot of valuable insights, and both funding agency value I-4 participation as well. So if you need more information, the next cohort is forming January 2023. Or just contact one of us, and we will send you in the right direction. I don't see any questions. I would like to thank Dan and Lawrence for joining us today. Thank you so much. This has been fantastic. We will post this video on our YouTube channel for others to watch, for those who couldn't come today. And again, thank you so much to everybody who came. If you think of questions after we close the session, please feel free to send me an email, and I'll be happy to answer them or set up a time to talk to you. And whenever you're ready, I will connect you to a SiteMiner for the MII application. So again, thank you so much.